Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
War on Terror is a very difficult game to review because it's really a satire piece. You know, it's really a commentary at a point of time that we were in during George W. Bush's presidency, and it really kind of narrows it down then. Is the joke still funny years later? Maybe to some people, but it's less politically charged the further away that we get from that. So I'm going to put politics aside and just kind of talk about the game. It's funny, and there's a lot of funny jokes in this, whether you're rightist, leftist, centrist, or anywhere on the spectrum. There's still some funny jokes in there if you just let it just kind of rise to the top and you laugh about it. Now, the more you're into the politics of it, the less funny you're going to find it. I think that's true too. I think that if you remember it a little bit and you can remember some of these jokes and time has passed, I think it becomes funnier. Where at the time everybody's kind of in the moment, that it becomes less funny. So the satire, there's a lot of humor in it, and you think you're getting something and you're getting something else. So this is a mass market satire parody, but they decided to put a game in the box too, which is appreciated. It's not just a Monopoly clone, more like a Risk type game, but it does have a lot more strategy. It's a little bit up on the gamer scale than just a Risk variant, but you know, you're not talking about, you know, this intense Twilight Imperium 4 great game either. So it's more towards Risk than it would be such. And you can play this with a lot of people, but I think this is kind of one of those very aggressive games that you're going to be playing with people who like that aggression, who like the Risk type games, the Axis and Allies, but, you know, are not going to dive into the wargaming. They're kind of playing it more just for the aggression. And I think you're going to find that here. It's a decent game. You know, this isn't for me, and the humor kind of you know, it plays itself out after a while, and it's not really humor that I enjoy anyway. But it is a funny satire. And it does have some stuff in it that, for the Risk fans that are looking for something a little different, that want a little bit of humor in it, they're going to find it here. At the end of the day, this is a joke. I don't think this is a game to be taken... If you get a mask that you put on when you're a terrorist, like, I don't think this is a game to be taken seriously. And it's going to hurt the game a little bit that it's not going to be. It's something I'm obviously going to purge. It's not something I would recommend unless you're really in on the joke and you really think the joke is funny. You know, it's one of those games that you almost buy and you just want to look through the cards and, that's funny. And then, you know, oh, that's a good one right there. And you kind of see what they're going for and you appreciate that. You appreciate the humor, the topical guide of it. When you look back, you're like, yeah, we lived through this time period, you know, etc. So, and I think it succeeds at that. As for the game itself, I mean, I'm kind of not into these type of games anyway. They're Risk type games. They're okay. I have a couple in my collection. I like to have different stuff. But this one's a little bit maybe too politically charged for me to be able to get to the table and everybody be able to enjoy it equally. And that will kind of bring it down a little bit for me. Now, the game isn't great. Let's start there. You know, it is neat. It does take it up a little bit from Risk, and you're playing cards and not just rolling dice. And, you know, a couple different ways to win this game. And it succeeds at all those things. And it has some interesting decisions, but lighter ones. Things out of your control can hurt you, and you just kind of need to roll with the game. It does have player elimination at some point. You know you're not going to win. Not a totally balanced game either, but that's fine. You know, this is more of a satire piece than a game. And I think you know that. As soon as you see the box art and you see the name of it, you kind of know what you're getting into for here. But they did make an attempt to have a game there, and they should be recognized for that because the game is actually good, decent. You know, not the greatest. It's not going to beat down, but there is something here that I think a certain sect of people will enjoy. As for me, it's going to be a Purge. Not something I really want to play or get back to the table. It was, you know, played it a couple of times, laughed at the jokes, and I'm ready to move on. Here's War on Terror, the board game. It's one of those long boxes, kind of like Twilight Imperium. You know, the box might not be as good, but it's a pretty sturdy box, believe it or not. You're going to see a lot. This game is going to be played for humor, so you're going to see a lot of the humorous things that are kind of on it. You're going to get a Rules of Engagement rule book, which we'll look at in a few minutes. Then you're going to get a card appendix that'll kind of tell you information about all the cards that are in the game. You get a rule book, which or a map, which I'll show you in a second. You're going to get this Mask of Evil that people will wear. I don't know if you want to put this on if your friends have. Then you get a number of cones for different players. These are just little plastic markers for the area control. You're going to get these cards that will be throughout. They're okay quality. The artwork on them is, once again, always just played for humor. And you're going to get paper money. Some people are not going to like this paper money, but it's just one of those games that are kind of printed on the cheap. And little tokens that you'll be utilizing for oil throughout the game. Nothing to write home about here. You're going to get secret messages pads. You're going to have some postcards that you can send out to people. But overall, kind of mass market type stuff that you're going to get here.
but this should not be a very expensive package. Let's take a look at the map. Now, once again, everything is kind of played in this humorous cartoon style. You're going to have a bunch of different countries, as you can see. You're going to have the spinner that you're going to have down here. And you're going to have little funny little things going on. Here's a boat going through and a guy riding a monster animal. So everything is just kind of played for humor, if you will. The board is fine. You can easily delineate the different areas. The pathways and what they're going to cost is clearly laid out also. So the rule book, you can get the rules of engagement here. It's going to go through the rules of the game. They're not very difficult. So you have a table of contents and the components with no pictures. Blah, 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 boo, boo, boo. And then you have the turn order here. This kind of tells you a quick guide. You can have this open as you're playing. Then it will go into more detail about what things are and kind of how they work. Then the terrorist, if you want to turn into a terrorist during the game, it has that. Then how you win, the diagram of the game, and how you set up, and etc. In particular, you're going to get a second book, which will be a card appendix or reference to this, if you will. Kind of tells you what some of the cards will do. If you have further questions of when you're playing something, it will showcase it right here. These two books work fairly well. You know, really for what seems like, again, it may have been made on a joke, made in a mass market kind of quality. The rule book is actually fairly good. So I'm going to show you just a microcosm of how things are set up just using Africa here because it's easier. Each country on the board is going to get an oil placed face down. And you won't know this, but there's a number on the other side. Then you will take, based on the number of players, you will put out these free villages that you can put wherever you want. And you guys just take turns placing them out on the board. In addition, based on the number of players, you're going to get money. And then you're going to get empire cards, which will be from this deck right here. And everybody will start out with 2 of these, but it's different. 4 in a 2-player game. In a 5 or 6-player game, everybody will start out with 2 of these. And these cards are pretty thin, but you can kind of see what they do here. First thing you do on a turn is you're going to roll the action die. These are going to do a few things. This is going to tell you the number that you roll is how many developments you're allowed to build this turn. If I rolled a 3, I would roll that. If I rolled 2, it could have 2 developments this turn. This is going to allow me to collect an additional empire card. You're going to have this symbol right here, which is shuffle the empire deck. And then there is this one allows you to spin the axis of evil. So that's what you're going to do. So this will tell you how many things you can build. So let's say you could build 3. Then everybody on your turn will collect 2 empire cards to give you 2 more cards that you can play. And you get these for free. On your turn, this main action will be the third part where it's called play. You can play as many of these empire cards as you have or you want. They will do different things. Like this one says attack a development. This one says 1 free city. This is inside a terrorist to do the attacking for you. Remove 1 radiation counter from the board. Terrorist movement. Move any terrorist unit to a country. Boarding the terrorist network. So these just allow you to do different things on the board. If you want to buy more of these, you can. They cost $50 million each to buy. And you can buy up to 2 on a turn. You can also use your dice. And this time I rolled 3. In our example, I can build 3 developments. Developments are your villages, your towns, or your cities. Cost 50 for a village. 100 million for a town, and 200 million for a city. At this point, you can also buy the terrorists, and you can put them out on the board, and they have different costs also. These kind of work as neutral pieces more. People can turn into terrorists, but you can place these out on the board if it fits your plan. And as the game progresses and you go in these places, these guys will have flipped over. So what you're going to do is roll these dice, and 3, these would not pay out. But say I'd rolled a 6 and what was it at? 4, 10, then this oil right here would play out. And that's the 4th thing you do in a turn is pay out any oils, and that would be for the whole entire board. Now, one of the things you can do there in this game, you can send secret messages, and you can use this pad to send a secret message to anybody at any time. Now, there are some cards that will force you to reveal your secret messages, so be aware of that. But you could just send a blank page or put scribbling on it and just have it look like you're sending a secret message somewhere when you're really not. Or you can send secret messages through that. So that would be a point in this game that you could do that. You have quite a few here, but you can just use regular paper for that also. So a lot of the fighting will be done using cards. You're going to have a chart here, and it will tell you what you'll hit on when you want to attack something. You simply roll the 2 dice, and you look on your chart, and you see if you hit. If you hit, then you get what it says. And that's kind of how combat is used. You're going to play a card. Maybe they'll play a card in response. But you'll be rolling the 2 6-sided die and determining whether you have enough to take what you want. So if you look closely on here, let's say I rolled an 8. I had it was a village there. It would be a hit, as you can see. Down here, this would be a strike, and the 8 red. Black would be collateral damage. Then you have yellow, which is partial strikes, and white would be a miss. So you basically just read the card and do what it says. What's interesting also about this game is the fact that you can turn into the terrorist. And multiple people can be the terrorist. So in most games like this, you would have player elimination. And this one you turn into a terrorist in 3 different ways. All your developments are destroyed. All your developments you built are off of the board. You go bankrupt and not have any money, or you just want to be a terrorist. And at that point, you can join the terrorist regime and start taking turns as a terrorist. Now, they still roll the action die like normal, but they will be drawing cards from the terrorist deck. And these cards allow you to do different things as if you were a terrorist player. So here are some of the cards. Attack with weapons of mass destruction. Attack any development or terrorist unit. There's no defense against WMDs. Oil staff. Still everyone's oil revenue from the oil at the end of the turn. Lots of take that. Terrorist upsurge. Roll 2 dice. Place a terrorist column in any country bearing a matching oil number. So, these terrorists will be trying to disrupt people's plans throughout the game. On their turn, they can they can move their terrorists. They can buy terrorists from the World Bank. Once again, you can buy these guys, put them out on the board. You can buy additional terrorist cards for 50 million. Or you can play as many of those cards as you want. Once again, you're going to roll the oil dice and give out oil again. So to win the game, you're going to want to have the most liberation points. You're going to do it like one of 2 ways. If you have a development in each area of a continent, you can score liberation points. You're going to get 1 liberation point for each city that you build. So building up to these is very, very important. And then the amount of liberation points will be based on the number of players on this chart. So if you're playing 4, then you need 10 of these in order to win. So you could just build 10 cities, and then you would win. That'd be difficult. But owning area control over these continents is another way. And each continent is worth a different set of points, which is shown right here. So Africa's worth 2, North America's worth 3, this little Asian part over here is worth 4. So you can see they're worth different points, and you add up the points, and whoever has the most is your winner. Now, the terrorists are going to be the opposite. They're going to win if there's no empire. So right here, Africa, terrorism would score for this, and multiple people can be the terrorists. Nobody's going to start the terrorists as the game starts, but as the game progresses, players will become terrorists. They will try to liberate the empire, so they're fighting against each other as the game progresses. Another ending that you can have is that they're completely free of any terrorist units on the board. You can say there's world peace, and everybody wins the game that is not a terrorist.
Who should buy this game? So, there's a few people, I think. I think if you like Risk and you're looking for something a little different, and you're looking for the humor, the satire in this, I think this is going to accomplish that. I think it's anybody who wants like that period piece, like this almost is frozen in time, where it's like, remember this, and this was a big deal. Should still be a big deal, but it's not because we're not being told it's a big deal. So, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, this is strictly in this time period, and it's a product of that time period. And that's neat to some people, right? Otherwise, I think people who want aggressive gameplay, the Risk type thing, they kind of in that level, they want to stick there, but they want a little parody or Munchkin type humor invested into it, this would do it absolutely. I think everybody else has moved on. Everybody else is not really going to be into this. It's going to be that short and narrow, where at the time it may have been a joke piece that you would have bought for a gift for somebody. I think that joke has been played out and it's over with now, but there is still something to appreciate about this. So that narrow view would be who I'd recommend this to. Everybody else can purge it. Everybody else can forget about it, act like it never existed.
Thanks for watching the video. I really appreciate you tuning in. If you liked it, please like it and hit that little subscribe button. That really helps out the channel, lets us know that you're getting the videos that you want. If you agreed or disagree with what I said, feel free to comment below. I'd love to hear what you have to say, and I promise that I will comment back. Thanks for watching, and everybody else, keep playing.